In tonight's headlines, new sporting facility inaugurated in PG, CARICOM holds regional consultation on marijuana in Belize, and Belize gears up for Anti-Corruption Week. These stories and more on this week's edition of Belize Now. Thanks for joining us on this Friday, November 24th, 2017. I'm Janelle Mencias. The residents of Punta Gorda town officially inaugurated their new sporting complex on Friday, November 17th, and our Belize Now team was there to witness the event.
Friday, November 17th, marked a momentous occasion, not only for the people of Punta Gorda town, but for the entire Toledo district, as they inaugurated their new, top-of-the-line sporting complex. In his address at the inauguration, Punta Gorda's deputy mayor spoke about how much of a blessing the facility is to the community.
Every time I walk into this building, my plans for sports here in Punta Gorda gets even bigger. Because now, our athletes, be it basketball, volleyball, can have the time of their lives while training or playing their favorite sport. As a town, we now have the capacity to host local, national, and even international sporting, entertainment, and social events. We literally went from having a hazard to having a haven. This facility will also serve as a great hurricane shelter. In today's world where climate change continues to bring us stronger hurricanes, structures like these can help us to save the lives of many.
As the deputy mayor mentioned, the old facility was indeed a hazard, one with dilapidated bleachers, cement flooring, and thatched roofs that left athletes exposed to the elements. The new facility, however, boasts significant upgrades. Christy Mastry, General Manager of Belize Infrastructure Limited, shared some of these features with us.
We have the Connors Wood Court, which is the professional grade acoustical shock FIBA qualified wood court, which was absolutely critical in getting that. But this facility, because we hear about the competition, we hear about people's needs, we hear about how you really have to heighten the level of play in the game. With that, we also have the Garrett backboards, which of course are FIBA approved as well, international grade. And the great thing about these backboards, you can see they're padded and they can completely collapse and be rolled away into our storage facilities in the back. So we can have the full court open for any other game or any other function we want to have without those actually being on here.
Residents of Punta Gorda town and Toledo district were excited to witness the official opening of the facility. Here's what they had to say.
It brings a lot of attraction to the youths and so forth. A lot of youths can't even wait to play on the new court because it's so official and it's something new to PG, in a whole.
Well, the one before this are like pure cement and then protect the knees and stuff like that. So, and with this one here, we have shot clock, we have state-of-the-art court where they actually both court. Where they put up our international standard, so it's way better, 10 times better than the old one.
Well, it was bare concrete, and in volleyball, you need to slide and all of that, and you can get injured on the concrete courts. Now on this, you can slide forever on this.
This is a joyous opportunity. We are at Belize. One, we have a cultural center, we have a sporting facility, and in one, we also have a hurricane shelter. So it's a wonderful day.
I think it's a dream come true, basically, because the youths here in PG have nowhere where they could, play their sports as such. And now it's even more comfortable because we have a covered environment. So if it rain, you can't play sports. Yeah, rain or shine, it's on.
Tupac Shakur once said, "If there is no hope for the youth, there is no hope for the future." Well, the government of Belize continues to sustain us with more than just hope. I can rest my head at night knowing that we can now proceed to nurture the future Michael Jordan, Steph Curry, and LeBron James right here at the Punta Gorda Sporting Complex.
With the new facility comes renewed hope for the youths of Punta Gorda town. For Belize Now, I am Janelle Rodriguez.
The complex is designed to cater to various educational, cultural, sporting, and social activities. It consists of a multi-purpose court, a stage, and boasts a seating capacity of 800. On Wednesday, November 23rd, the Ministry of Education, Youth, Sports, and Culture, along with the Social Investment Fund, held an inauguration ceremony at the Our Lady of Guadalupe RC Primary School in Altamira, Corozal. The ceremony, marking the completion of a $1.2 million school expansion project, was in celebration and gratitude for the new model preschool building and an extensive extension to the primary school building on the compound. Andrea Pitts tells us more.
Studious children from 3 to 12 years old led the celebratory ceremony at Olog RC Primary School, proud of their new preschool building and the massive extension to their existing structure. The works, made possible through the Social Investment Fund, in some parts due to the lobbying of the Minister of Education, Youth, Sports and Culture, Honorable Patrick Faber, and Corozal North's area representative, Honorable Hugo Pat, were lauded by the principal, Mr. Emmanuel Gonzalez.
The studies that they made, they looked at our school's vision and needs. And they discovered that the community of Altamira was really in need of additional classrooms. And also now their studies also discovered the needs of a preschool, since there was none in the area. Social Investment Fund committed to make our dreams come true and started all the plans necessary to provide a new preschool building, bathroom facilities, and the completion of the roof of 2 classrooms, plus an additional new classroom. Added was a conference room, a counseling room, and a principal's office.
The principal also discussed the extent at which SIF went above and beyond to accommodate the staff and to ensure that the school was well equipped in all areas.
When the members of Social Investment Fund met me, I was in a storage room. And they finally decided to give me an office for myself. Thank you very much. Additional, we received playground. We received school materials, projectors, risograph, computers, and other equipments for our school. I give special thanks to the government of Belize.
The executive director of the Social Investment Fund, Mr. William Lam, briefly discussed the work that SIF does.
SIF implements projects on behalf of the government of Belize. It's one of the things we do, and we do this in education, health, water and sanitation, institutional strengthening, infrastructure development, human development, skills training, and social transformation. One of the things that SIF does in its design is ensure that the building is ready to receive people for hurricane or to house people after a storm. And part of that is ensuring that you have inter-classroom linkage and that it can be cut off so the weather can go outside and people can still be there safe and have access to the bathroom.
The executive director also took the time to thank one of SIF's primary supporters.
We cannot do this without the help of the major partner, which is the Ministry of Education. And so for that, we want to thank the minister and his team who helped to put the direction that we go when it comes to these projects and also help with the training and certification of the teachers.
The very festive inauguration concluded with entertaining performances by the students and a blessing of the new buildings. For Belize Now, I am Andrea Pitts.
After the break, more stories. Stay with us.
Every Every day when my daddy gets up to go to work, he says this is for me to have a better life. But I say, Daddy, we have a better life. Mommy don't have to leave home to wash my clothes anymore. We don't have to go all the way to a pump and back home to wash every bucket. No, Mommy just have to turn on the pipe and wash up and make we bathe as long as we want. Even the school teacher make we wash we hand the pipe instead of a nasty bucket like before. See, Daddy, life is better with water than life.
Antigua and Barbuda, Guyana, St. Vincent and the Grenadines are among the first countries to host CARICOM's Regional Commission on Marijuana. And on Thursday, November 23rd, Belize welcomed the group to host national consultations on the widely debated cannabis plant. Here's what we learned. It's been almost a month since the passage of the Misuse of Drugs Act Amendment of 2017 in Belize, but the chatter around the decriminalization of marijuana has hardly died down. In fact, it's been relit with the visit of CARICOM's Regional Commission on Marijuana. Professor Rosemary Bell Antoine, Dean of the Faculty of Law at the University of the West Indies, St. Augustine Campus, heads the commission, which was established by CARICOM in 2015. She told us about the commission's task.
Our task is to try to get a consensus position in CARICOM on the legal status of marijuana. So we come with no preconceived positions. We are quite independent and neutral. We are made up of different experts. We are going around the region to try to talk to people, to get their views, also their experiences. Some of the experiences have to do with people who have actually treated persons with marijuana, so the medical marijuana issue. Some of the experiences speak to who are the persons being targeted for arrest. And we are seeing a lot of similarities, that certain income groups feel that they are more targeted than others, and so who are the ones who are criminalized in terms of marijuana. And part of our task is also to collate whatever information and empirical evidence is out there. Some of it will be from outside of the Caribbean, because as you know, many countries have either legalized, decriminalized, and so on. And there's been a lot of research on marijuana, so we have that will inform our report, but also to encourage and ourselves try to do some empirical research in the Caribbean.
The region-wide consultations are intended to obtain information on social, economic, health, and legal issues related to marijuana use in the Caribbean. Professor Antoine told us what will be done with all the information.
We will give a report which looks at all of those aspects, which will be presented to the heads of government of CARICOM, who established the commission 2 years ago, and then they will decide ultimately. So there will be proposals for law reform as the case may be, and then they will determine what they wish to do from those proposals.
Professor Antoine also gave us an overview of the positions and concerns that have been shared throughout the region.
It's been very interesting that we've seen a lot of uniformity actually in the region so far. We've done a number of consultations. Sometimes there are surprises. Even here in Belize, I'm surprised at the amount of church organizations and churches that are actually saying to us we should decriminalize. It's very interesting. And we've met that even in very conservative places, even where we think they're conservative, because we kind of assume that the church is going to be against. And usually that comes from ideas of social justice, that people may not believe that marijuana is desirable in terms of recreational use. They may say, we don't think it's good for us, or they're not sure. There's a lot of misinformation, of course, but they're still saying there's a lot of consensus across the region in almost every group that we talk to, even those who feel we shouldn't have marijuana for recreational purposes and it might be harmful. We're getting a position that many people are concerned about the social injustices where young people or people often from lower income groups who are the ones being thrown in jails. That seems to be a common theme. Another common theme that we are getting And is, of course, also, having said that, there's a caveat about the impact of marijuana on the young, the brain, that there's a difference between the young and the old or the adults. So that's something that is also consistent. But we're also getting a lot of feedback about medical marijuana.
The consultations featured focus group discussions, which were broken down into various groups. Group A featured representatives from the education and youth sector. Group B, faith-based organizations and NGOs, and Group C, which included researchers, medical practitioners, practitioners of alternative medicine, advocates for medicinal use of marijuana, representatives from the National Drug Council, law enforcement, and legal practitioners. We used the opportunity to hear from two participants what their thoughts are on the recent decriminalization of marijuana in Belize.
So when we looked at especially the social impact that has on our young people who have become criminals, perhaps having misguided or were not able to make a wise decision at the time, and they have become criminals, whether boys or girls or young men and women. And we felt that a review or a revisit of the law was necessary. Now, what we believe as well, and we did make those recommendations at the time of the consultation, is that in addition to whatever amendments were to come into play, there were also to be proper structure in place by way of rehabilitation center, drug education center, and skills opportunities, skills training opportunities for young men and young women, so that they may be wisely advised and properly trained for job opportunities that would enable them to be much more effective and perhaps turn away from drugs and turn to using the gifts and graces that God has blessed them with in a meaningful way.
I wanted more, a lot more, but I think it's a good start because you got to take a small step. You got to creep before you can walk, before you can run. Because I believe in the full legalization of marijuana for a number of facts. For example, my biggest concern about marijuana, more so than criminalization, is the traumatization and marginalization that it causes. And to me, the punishment don't fit the crime.
The day ended with a town hall meeting open to the public. For Belize Now, I am Janelle Mencias. Stay tuned for more stories after the break.
Apply today. For more information, including scholarship opportunities, visit teachbelize.org.
As mentioned earlier this year, Belize, along with other parties to the United Nations Convention Against Corruption, will be observing Anti-Corruption Week. And with December just around the corner, we wanted to know how Belize will be celebrating.
We have a big event on December 4th to kick off Anti-Corruption Week, in which the Honourable Minister, the Attorney General, will be presiding over that event. And also the United Nations Resident Coordinator will be here for that as well. He'll be in country. That will be held in Belmopan, at the George Price Centre, on the evening of December 4th. And we have another, actually quite a big event, which is an international symposium hosted by Belize NGO Network, in which the Honourable Minister will also be participating. That will be on December 11th in Belize City. Now at the International Symposium, we're also hoping to have some experts from Jamaica, if possible, or possibly one of the African countries come over and share with us their experience.
In addition to essay and jingle competitions on corruption which have been advertised, Bernard also told us more about some ongoing activities planned especially for students.
We had a couple of experts come over from Panama. We did some training with children here in Belmopan. Actually, we went to Garden City Primary School, Evergreen Primary School. We also went to primary schools in Jangriga and in Pomona. The expert was in country for a short period of time. But we trained the children aged 8 to 9 years old on prevention of corruption. But we don't use those terms with children, so we called it values training. And we trained them on values such as honesty, responsibility, loyalty, values that would be kind of an antidote to corruption if the children really internalize those. And in Anti-Corruption Week, we may be bringing back the characters, the mascots, that we use with the children to show those values. We have a training with the high schools in which we explain to them what corruption is. We have a discussion, we look at types of corruption, actions that can be taken, we listen to their concerns. And we also have them sign up for an online course which will give them a certificate from the United Nations Office on Drugs and Crime, which is the United Nations agency specializing in corruption.
Bernard also took the opportunity to acknowledge the work of the government of Belize in adhering to the requirements of the UNCAC.
I do feel that this is it's an effort which is happening on different levels. So to address corruption, it's essential that the government, that the Attorney General, complies with the various processes under the convention, and that is happening. So I can assure you that that is happening, and we will soon have some details. There'll be publications which will show exactly what's being done in that regard. I'm pleased to say that Belize again is showing a lot of leadership in this area, and I know a lot of countries in the region are looking at Belize and watching what Belize is doing in terms of addressing corruption.
The winners of the competitions will be announced on December 4th. November is CARICOM Energy Month, which celebrates the significant strides that have been made within the CARICOM region in our transition to a sustainable energy pathway. To observe the month, the Ministry of Energy and Public Utilities hosted Belize's Energy Week 2017 from November 19th to 25th under the theme Rethinking Energy, Shaping a Resilient Community. As a part of the regional and collaborative initiative, the Ministry planned activities to facilitate and promote stakeholder engagement in the discussion and exchange of ideas for appropriate energy-related issues in Belize. Additionally, the week focused on sensitizing the public on the utilization of energy and access to clean, modern, and alternative forms of energy. The highlight of the week was an energy awareness fair hosted at the Belize Best Western Biltmore Plaza, which featured local organizations and companies involved in the sustainable energy sector. Acting Director of the Energy Unit, Ryan Cobb, spoke of the importance of energy.
With energy, we'll be able to access so much more productivity from our different productive sectors. We'll be able to increase the living standards of our population that currently do not have access to modern services. It is with this in mind that we have invited key stakeholders and private entities to showcase the technologies that are available in Belize that can be implemented today, not tomorrow, but today, and increase productivity, increase efficiency, and increase the economic development within Belize.
The Ministry also hosted a photography competition and an Energy in 90 Seconds video competition. The winners were recognized at the close of the Energy Fair. And that's it for this edition of Belize Now. If you want to provide feedback or send in your comments, please feel free to email us at info@pressoffice.gov.bz or visit our Facebook page and let us know what you think. We look forward to hearing from you. Have a great week. Until next time.